Starting a bookkeeping business can sometimes be, well, a little scary. You might be new to working for yourself, or you might have been winging it for a while. Maybe you've got a little side hustle bookkeeping business going on. Either way, you don't have to go it alone. I'm Lynn Talbot, and I've scaled and sold a 7-figure bookkeeping business, and I've been where you are now. I know the problems you're facing, and I want to share what I had to learn the hard way to help you on your journey. So follow along and let's get your bookkeeping business where you want it to be.
Have you ever felt like the world was just passing you by? You're just working and working as a bookkeeper, but somehow other people are getting ahead, and perhaps you feel like if you had made some different decisions at different times in your career, maybe things would be different right now. Well, let's talk about how to develop a growth mindset and how can you manifest, success. Can you do that? Can you get your mind straight so that you can feel like, yes, Lynn, I can work toward the goals that I want if I can just get my mind set. Sometimes you might think, well, that might be out of reach. How do I do that? How do I get a growth mindset if I'm stuck working on my books every day? So today we're going to be answering these questions. Are you ready to grow? How do you prepare your mind to be an entrepreneur? And are you willing to change to be a lifelong learner? So do you have the energy? Do you have the endurance? Do you have the tenacity? Because to own your own business, you have to have all three of those. You can be a bookkeeper, independent bookkeeper, and be perfectly happy where you are. 5 or 6 clients working on the side, but maybe you're ready to go to the next level. Maybe you're ready to scale. Maybe you're like, Lynn, I'm in a good place. I feel like I know what I'm doing. I have the financial ability right now to start to scale my business, but I can't get my mind around it. So if you are a true entrepreneur, you will feel that in your gut. You'll feel that thing that gives you that great joy, and you're just like, I want this. That's what you need in order to be an entrepreneur. And if you've worked on people's books, entrepreneurs' books, they have that passion, right? They just go with their business, and maybe sometimes they forget to stop and do their books, and that's where you come in. Well, you have to have that mindset. How do you shift from just doing books for other people to running your business? So every action starts with a thought. So you need to visualize yourself as the owner. Just visualize yourself as a successful business owner. What does that look like? Just take a minute and think, what would that look like for me in a year from now, 2 years from now? I would have some financial freedom. Maybe you wouldn't be working quite so hard. You would have some employees or some contractors, people who you could surround yourself with, some excellent CPAs that give you advice. You've got a coach, you are a mentor, you've joined some support groups, and you're not feeling stressed about growing. So give yourself a chance to just visualize increasing your income while working less hours. And just trying to battle that feeling of you're not good enough, or I can't achieve this, or not being able to see yourself in that transition. How do you transition from being a bookkeeper to being a bookkeeper owner and scaling your business? And we can talk a little bit about that vision. So what it takes is you have to look at your business from 10,000 feet. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. How do you step back from your bookkeeping firm and look at it from 10,000 feet? So today I want to introduce to you Ashley LaMar-Morris. Now, Ashley and I go way back. Ashley has a degree in psychology and has really been able to help many of our mentees, get through that mindset. And Ashley and I think we've been together about 10 years. We've worked together and then gone apart and then come back, but we just make a good team. We're a good fit for each other. And I just consider her my cohort. And she's also helps me on the bookkeeping coach. She's also a coach with me there. So Ashley's had some various experience, but I'll let her take it from here and tell us a little bit about your experience and what brought you to where you are today. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Hey, Lynn. Thanks so much for having me. Again, my name is Ashley LaMar-Morris. I first got with Lynn when I graduated college. And like Lynn said, my bachelor's degree is in psychology, not finance. But I worked my way through college doing bookkeeping. And I just liked it so much, I kind of stayed there. But the principles that I learned doing psychology, especially social psychology, have stayed with me. And I think they're all the more relevant right now in today's age, no matter what industry. That's so great about psychology. It covers multiple industries. So, like I said, initially I met Lynn after college. I graduated with my psychology degree, went to go work for Lynn at her bookkeeping firm. I started off with, gosh, maybe 5 clients, Lynn, something like that, and worked with Lynn up until she successfully sold her company. And I think at that point I had between 50 and 60. Like at any given time, one would fall off, one would come on. So I've really worked in bookkeeping businesses of all sizes. And the whole time I was working for Lynn, I had zero plans of starting my own company. I had a fixed mindset. I said, I'm happy working for other people. I don't want the stress that comes with owning a business. I'm perfectly happy helping other people grow um, their own dreams. And of course, working as a bookkeeper with entrepreneurs, you're helping other people achieve their dreams every day. It's my favorite part of bookkeeping. Um, However, life, I guess, had other plans for me. Lynn sold her company, which was really unexpected for me. I kind of thought I'd be working for Lynn forever. Turns out Lynn wanted to retire at some point. So when Lynn sold her company, I did not stay with the company that she sold it to. I had some savings. I went out on my own. And during that time, I was recruited by Intuit. And I went to go work for QuickBooks directly. I liked my time there, but I discovered kind of quickly that working a corporate job wasn't really for me. Um, I felt like there was some service limitations. I had gone from a very small hand-holding custom bookkeeping experience to something that was very corporate, standardized. I was telling clients no more than I was telling them yes. And there, of course, there was a lot, just due to the size of QuickBooks and their liability size, there was a lot of limitations of what we
Yes.
could and could not offer in the QuickBooks Live side of the world. So um, during the time I had worked for them, though, one awesome thing I will say about Intuit is that they really did encourage you to grow outside of just working your W-2 job for them. So while I was working for them, I ended up getting a couple clients on the side. I was working for Intuit part-time and doing a couple freelance clients part-time. And when it came time for me to quit my corporate job, I said, okay, I guess this is the time. So I
Yes.
got back in contact with Lynn and I said, oh, I'm on my own, help. And so here we are back together.
Yes, and the good thing about, Ashley's experience, which, could be similar to our listeners' experience, is that, you start somewhere. Everybody has to start somewhere. You start as a bookkeeper, you're working for somebody else, you're learning the ropes, and then you grow and learn. You do nonprofit and you do, corporate, you do all kinds of things, you do all, kinds of books, and you start learning, you realize, wow, I've really broadened my skill set. And that's what you want to do as a bookkeeper. You want to broaden your skill set. You don't want to just be only working for one client. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but that's not going to help you get where you need to go. And then Ashley went and worked for Intuit, like the mothership. We're like, yes. So learning how the back end of Intuit works and how they do things, and just a little bit more about the technical software and things like that. Like that was really able, I'm sure, Ashley, to get you like just skyrocket your probably confidence too in working with QuickBooks, right?
Absolutely. And there generally was never a time that a client came to us with a problem that I hadn't already experienced working for Lynn's other company. As Lynn said, I worked with people who were thinking about starting a business up to C Corps, S Corps. I worked nonprofit, like Lynn said, $1 million corporations to $30,000 a year freelancers and everything in between. And also people who were growing at that time too, going from an LLC to an S Corp or going from a freelancer to an LLC. So I've been kind of all over the board with that.
Yes.
So our clients at QuickBooks, some of them, I should say, not all of them were fit for QuickBooks Live, and the ones that were, of course, within my wheelhouse to work with.
So yeah, getting that well-rounded experience. So for our listeners, so if you've got some experience here, there, you don't have to go work for Intuit, but I see a lot of bookkeepers that do a small short stint with Intuit. It's a good idea to kind of get that side. I did not. I would work a little bit with their developers, and I would get on calls with them sometimes, and I'm always eliciting my feedback to them about how to improve their product. But I know so many of you have questions like, well, Lynn, how did you get the confidence to scale? And Ashley, how did you get the confidence to just say, I'm done, I'm quitting Intuit, and I'm going to go out on my own? Like it's nervous, How do you know that you're ready? And how does our mentoring program help somebody like you make that transition from independent bookkeeper to being an entrepreneur? And a lot of it starts with setting goals. We work with our clients on setting goals, and you can set your own goals. You have to know where you're going or you're not going to get there. That's one of the main things I talk about with our clients that we mentor. How much time do you need to commit, and how are you going to fund this? Are you in a position to be able to fund it? Now, I'm of the, and Ashley too, we're both of the, the mindset that we don't need to go out and take a big loan to do this. We're like, no, we're just going to kind of bootstrap it. And that's what I suggest that people do. They just start with a couple of clients. And if it's just you and your computer, you really don't have much overhead. You'll be able to bring a large part of that, the price that you charge to the bottom line. We do a lot of information about pricing too, and that's another way that we can help you overcome that being nervous about going out on your own is pricing, correctly. So, but if you do have a lot of questions, I'm sure how to make that move and how to gain the confidence, to do so. So when comparing ourselves to our peers, what do you look at? Like, why does everybody else seem like they have their stuff together? Why can't I get my stuff together? Everybody's over here on Instagram making money. Well, we don't really know if that's true or if that's just what they're looking like, But you do have to come, full circle. You need to have the skills already, a variety of skills. Be ready to go out on your own, have a little bit of financial independence so that if it doesn't just take off right away, or maybe you have a couple of clients and one of them's a really big client, if that really big client left, would you still be able to, pay all your bills and meet your financial goals that you want to do? So there's a lot of questions that you have to do when you're starting that journey.
I want to say too, some people, what they do is let's say you've worked with a nonprofit for 10 years, and then the nonprofit changes directions. And if you as a bookkeeper were to go out and form a niche and only do nonprofits, that would be something that you could do as well. But like Lynn said, I personally just think that it's better to diversify your offerings, its service offerings, and diversify your experience as well. You'll be able to, you can bring things that you learn doing books for for-profit companies to your nonprofit clients as well. I currently have a mix of for-profit and nonprofit and LLC and one S Corp, and I think having all that varying experience is helpful for me. Of course, I like learning. I guess it's going to depend on, are you the type of person who likes to learn new things.
And it comes back to that being a lifelong learner. If you are motivated to be a learner all the time, because I tell you, every day I learn something. I think I've seen everything, and then I open somebody's file, and you probably feel the same way. But sometimes you'll open a client file or you'll get a note from a CPA or the client like, why did you book it this way? Or what did you do there? And you have that quick little crushing thought of, oh, wait, why did I do that? Is that not right? I thought that was right. I'm not a good bookkeeper. And then you start going down that little trail, I'm scared. I'm scared to move too fast because maybe I don't know what I think I know. When I was starting out, I was just a self-taught bookkeeper. I don't even know how I started or why. I was just helping volunteer at nonprofits and doing things with the, PTA and things like that. And then I started charging and started helping, people. But I really didn't want to own a bookkeeping firm. I don't know what happened, but I found out that evidently I was good at it. And I remember a CPA telling me, I was trying to get some information. I was like, I don't know. I don't feel like I don't feel like I can grow. I just want to stay small. And he said, Lynn, you are a lot more, I don't know, a lot more with it than I think you are. You are so far above all the other bookkeepers that have come to me, and you've only been doing this a couple of years. Like, I think I think you are better than you think you are. And that was huge for someone. And no one's ever said that to me since then. But having just one person be able to tell me that really boosted my confidence. And I was like, oh, then maybe I do know what I'm doing.
I think people who maybe don't have the highest skill set are generally the ones who say, I know everything. I think it's kind of a red flag to say, I know everything about everything and I don't have to learn anything else and I'm the best there is. And of course, you want to have confidence in yourself. But I've definitely met people who think that they're just the best thing ever. And you get into cleaning up books after them and realize, oh, there's a couple things that, maybe you don't know after all. So I would say definitely to feel your fear, but do it anyway. It's okay if you're a little scared at the beginning. If you wait until you're not scared anymore, or if you wait until you're 100% ready, you're probably going to be waiting longer than you ever needed to. Like you said, Lynn, you just got to go out and do it and work with those CPAs. You were probably nervous and maybe sweating a little in that meeting with that CPA, and they're the ones who kind of reinforced that confidence in you that you now can pick up and carry with you going forward. So most, I would say, people are holding their own selves back, not because of their skill set, but because of their self-doubt.
Yes. Well, and it's always good to stay humble. That's how I always felt. I just always felt like I could stay humble. And then if I did something great, it would shine on its own. I'd never had to say, well, look at me. But one of the things about growing your business and moving ahead, is that confidence, is moving from, doubt to confidence. One, you're thinking, I don't have time. I'm already working, 40 hours a week. How can I grow? Like, I'm going to kill myself, especially during tax season. I don't know if I have, support from my family. I don't know if my family wants me to work these hours, or I'm scared I'm moving too fast. I'm not good at marketing. I don't know how to market. I'm a bookkeeper. As accountants, we're kind of nerdy. We kind of put things in box and bullet points. We don't really know how to make ourselves look good. That's why all of us hire marketing people, right?
Yeah, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to be able to help you. If you are listening right now and you're thinking those thoughts to yourself, hopefully I'm going to be able to help you with this right now. In psychology, we have something called reframing. If you have ever been to a therapist, mental health is all in the buzz right now and everyone's kind of an armchair psychologist. But if you've ever been to therapy in a cognitive behavioral therapy session, one of the things that a good therapist is going to teach you to do is something called reframing. And what reframing is taking a negative thought learning, number one, that you're thinking negative thoughts, something like, I'm not good at marketing. The first step is recognizing that you're even thinking that in the first place. And then step number two is replacing it with a positive thought. And this is not toxic positivity. Just, you're going to wake up and say, I'm great at marketing today. No. This says, instead of thinking, I'm not good at marketing, maybe what you need to tell yourself is, I don't know marketing yet. Or I'm going to hire the best marketing person that I can find. I'm going to network until I find someone who can help me with my marketing. Yeah. So you reframe your negative thought into something that is helpful toward you. Instead of, I don't know how to get clients. You can think, I'm capable of learning new skills that help me get a wider variety of clients. It helps if you write these down on paper. But as I said, the very first step is acknowledging that you're even thinking them in the first place. That's kind of the hardest part for a lot of people.
Yes. And then, I'm not confident in vetting clients. Like, okay, all these clients come to me, but and listen, we've all been there. I've taken clients and I always think, oh, I can help anybody, right? That's I'm a positive person and I think I can help anybody. And the fact is, some clients maybe aren't a good match for me or even a good match for any bookkeeper. And so being able to, learn that. You have to learn from your mistakes, learn how to vet a client. It will come with practice, and like replacing those negative thoughts with positive thoughts, those affirming thoughts, and then also just learning. You just have to do it, and then you're like, you know what? I can tell this person doesn't have any money. They're already complaining about the fees before we've even finished our introductory call, our exploratory call, and you can just tell that it's not going well. Don't beg that client to come with you. You just say, well, let me know if you're interested. Here's my pricing. And then you can send them an email.
Absolutely not. Another thing, too, is surround yourself. If you're a bookkeeper, you should be going out and making bookkeeper friends. Surround yourself with other bookkeepers. For example, I had a potential client reach out to me recently asking if I did QuickBooks Desktop. I do not do QuickBooks Desktop, but I know someone who does. Try not to tell people just flat out no. Try to give them a solution. Well, I don't do that, but let me do an intro email to a colleague of mine who does do QuickBooks Desktop. Even if you can't directly help that person, you're still giving them a positive experience after dealing with you. And maybe the next time they have a QuickBooks Online question, they'll come to you because they realize you'll help them anyway.
Yes, that sounds good. And we've all had those times where when you start working on your business and you start growing and you feel that fire in your belly and you're like, I want to grow and I'm going to start planning. It is fast moving and you'll sort of have this double feeling of like chaos and being excited, being hopeful, and then also being nervous, and then also doubting what you're doing is the correct way or the correct method. So that self-doubt can creep in at any time, and getting that mindset back to where it needs to be is really what we're going to focus on here. So growth is painful. If you've done the books for any kind of company and watched them grow, things happen when companies grow, right? Growth can be a cash eater if it's a business that relies on you buying products and then selling it. Because if you're growing quickly, you have to buy more product. Luckily for growing your bookkeeping company, you don't have to worry too much about that. But it is your time. So if you don't have enough time to do it, you shouldn't be growing. You have to hire other people. It can be painful. It can be difficult. You might hire the wrong person. That's one of the things our mentoring group helps with, is just going through that. We often will share clients sometimes too. And like Ashley said, if we have someone that needs a certain point of sale system, if we can share that in the group, we'll sometimes do that. But what you're going through right now, thinking about growing your bookkeeping firm, I know it feels scary because it can feel unsettling, and you can start chasing what you really want, even though it might be scary. Like you say, even feel the feelings anyway, even though they're scary. But what we're talking about today is just how to flip your mindset from being just a bookkeeper to being an entrepreneur? And what does that path look like? That growth path. So is that growth path does not have to be scary. It needs to be planned out, and that's what we help you with. And you have to really want it. We talked about how you have to want it so bad that you say to yourself every day, how am I going to grow my business today? What plans am I making today? What do I need to do to be financially independent? So this is probably the heart of our talk here, is the fixed mindset or the growth mindset. And so that fixed mindset is what Ashley and I were talking about earlier, is where it's hard for you to change. You're like, well, I've always done it that way. And let me tell you, I cannot tell you how many times I have heard that in bookkeeping. Well, we've always done it that way. And I'm like, well, it's wrong, right? You've always done it that way. And I might be talking to an 80-year-old CPA that's talking about, QuickBooks Desktop from 1998. And it's like, I know, but we can connect the bank accounts now. Like, it's a good thing. So that fixed mindset is, you have to look at yourself. Is that what's keeping you? And I'm telling you, all of us have it. We get in our little habits. We do our little things. I do the same thing. And then one day I'm like, aha, oh my gosh, there's a better way to do this. And that's when I talk about being a lifelong learner, being open to those opportunities. Whenever you hear or see something new, not saying to yourself, well, I'm not going to do that. That's the way I've always done it. And just kind of, kind of standing your ground and not being willing to learn, but having those aha moments and not being afraid to change. So what else can we talk about with this fixed mindset, Ashley?
Yeah, so like you said, Lynn, a fixed mindset says, I am who I am, and this is who I am, and this is how I've always done it. Well, science would say that's not actually true. I see sometimes around social media, your brain stops growing after 25. That's not true either. There exists something in science and psychology called neuroplasticity. It's this concept that the brain is always making new connections, neural connections that keep you learning. It's harder to form them after you're 25, but it is by no means impossible. If it were impossible, the whole field of therapy would be junk. It would be for nothing. If you can't change, what's the point of seeing a therapist, right? So your brain is not fixed. It is capable of growing and changing. And that's why, Lynn, you say being a lifelong learner is so important. It starts in your mind. It's important because whatever you tell yourself amplifies within yourself. I'll let that sink in. Whatever you tell yourself amplifies within yourself. So if you say, I'm just not good at business, and you've been telling yourself that for 10 years, even though you've been freelance bookkeeping for 10 years and working a W-2 job for 30 years before that, well, guess what? Your brain is going to be not very kind to you. It's going to tell you you don't know what you're doing and why are you even trying, and all that stuff is going to happen so automatically that, as I said before, you have to know you're even thinking this way to be able to stop it. Well, the longer you've been thinking that way, the harder it is to stop. But it's by no means impossible. You reinforce, and psychology calls it reinforcement. So you reinforce things that you tell yourself repeatedly. So once you find something negative that you told yourself, and I'll just be vulnerable and honest here, for me, it's marketing. I don't like marketing. I'm not a social media person. I feel weird putting myself out on social media. I don't even have a personal social media. I don't really use one for my business. This is something I am willing to learn about and grow into myself as an entrepreneur. But first step was not telling myself, I'm just bad at social media. You have to stop that. You have to recognize that social media is a skill. It is something that people go to four-year university and get a four-year degree to learn how to do. So it's okay that you didn't wake up in the morning and know how to do it.
Right.
People go to school to learn how to do it. So it's a skill. You can learn it. And the more you think, okay, this is something I can do. I can do this. I can learn this. I can learn the Instagram algorithm. I can learn how to put text on a photo and post it on LinkedIn. I can use Canva to advertise my logo in a cute way. The more you do it, the more it tells your brain that you're capable of doing it, the more your brain will automatically have the thought, you can do this. So it's really, really good practice to tell yourself these things, even if you don't believe it at first, because it gets reinforced uh, with repetition.
Yes, and what you're really saying is, get out of your comfort zone. And we all like our little comfortable zone. We like to stay in our little comfort zone, but get out of your comfort zone and see what you can do. Then you can get back in your comfort zone. But also, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to ask for, find a social media person, a marketing person. I did. And I know also when you're on a fixed budget as a bookkeeper, I did this when I first started my business. I can do everything. I'm an entrepreneur. I know how to do this. How hard can it be to create a website off of, Square or some of the Squarespace or some of the different places, and I did. I went and tried to do it, and I am embarrassed to say what my first website looked like. I thought it looked great. It was horrible. And then I met someone that finally came in and gently and politely just slowly changed everything and made me look a lot better than I looked, before. So it's okay, but getting out of your comfort zone, I think that's what that fixed mindset,
Yeah,
getting out.
a lot of people stay in that comfort zone because they're scared of failing.
Yep.
And I'm here to tell you, failure is a part of being an entrepreneur. You're going to make a mistake sometimes. You're going to miscategorize a transaction and a client's going to tell you. You're going to forget to book depreciation and have a CPA be angry with you. You're going to do something somewhere along the time, of doing this. You're going to make a website that's maybe not great from a marketing opinion, but the important thing is you learn from it. And you don't make it the same mistake twice, and you don't be scared to try again. It's kind of
Right.
like, falling off the bike. You don't just give up bicycle riding. You get back on that bike and you try again. And now okay, you can avoid the pothole. So it's a good thing. This is part of the reframing to learn. It is a good thing to make a mistake because it helps you learn.
Yes.
I've learned mostly from my mistakes than my successes.
Yes, and I can still remember some of the big mistakes I made and just cringe at the thought of them, but they keep me from making mistakes again. And, we talked about staying in your comfort zone and then just not giving up after just minimal effort. Like, I can see, well, I tried that and it didn't work. I have heard that so many times from people like, well, I'd like for you to call the client or I'd like for you to do it this. Well, I've tried that. That didn't work. And I'm like, well, we need to open your mind a little bit more and get out of that fixed mindset. It's hard. It's hard. And if you're saying to yourself as a bookkeeper, well, I don't know if I have what it takes, Lynn. Like you're just out there, you and Ashley, you can just talk and do stuff. I don't know if I have what it takes. Like, how is it possible for me to bill 100K, next year? How is it possible to bill 200, 300K? Well, do you believe that in 5 years you could bill $1 million? If you believe that and that's your goal, we can make that happen for you. You can make that happen. And if you're a bookkeeper and you're paying other bookkeepers to help you as well, you can easily bring 30% of that to the bottom line. That's a lot of money to make. So you want to stay in your fixed mindset? I don't know. I've always done it that way. I don't want to. I want to just give up. I tried that and I just gave up. Or do you want to try to change your situation, embrace the challenges, being willing to listen, being willing to learn? When you see new things, go to attend all of these Intuit webinars. They are great. Every time I
Definitely.
one, even though I've gone to thousands now, and I know like 90% of it, there will be something in there that I will learn and I will be real excited about. I didn't know that. I didn't know this new button existed, or this was where Intuit's going, or their new product that they have. There's
Or
value.
they
Yeah.
may be on a topic of a client that doesn't fit any situation of a client you have, but next month you might get a client that has inventory, for example. So sit in on that inventory webinar. Um, even if you don't have clients that have inventory, because when you get a client that has inventory, you can confidently say, yes, I know how to do that, at least on a textbook knowledge level. So don't limit yourself to only signing up for webinars that are relevant to you in that moment. Again, if you're willing to grow, think of
Yes.
yourself as doing the books for all kinds of industries.
Yes. And being willing to, talk to the CPAs and not being afraid to ask them questions about how to book something. Hey, would you mind taking just a second to let me know how you would like for me to book this particular thing for this client? They borrowed some money from their father, and is it a loan? Is it a capital? Like, what is it? And how would you book this? And so the CPA would be like, oh, well, I didn't know that he borrowed, money from his father or whatever it is. And that's how you develop that relationship with that CPA. And instead of just saying, here, CPA, he got $100,000 from his dad, here's the taxes, you figure it out, you're going to ask how to book that. And you're going to ask the CPA to take just a second to explain to you what that means. What's the difference in a loan or capital? What's the difference in however they're booking it? And that's the growth mindset. That's that next step that says, how can I learn something today? What can I learn? How do I embrace technology? How do I embrace, the CPA and work with them instead of kind of, beside, button up heads. Sometimes that happens as well. So there is a really good TED Talk on teaching a growth mindset, and her name is Carol Dweck, Dweck, and she you can just Google it and find it. It's a really good TED Talk. And if you're thinking, I want a little bit more, Lynn, about how to get my growth mindset, I feel like I've been stuck and I need a little bit more, go listen to her TED Talk. It's really good. It talks about how to set you're setting your personal goals, how to challenge yourself with self-improvement, and then how to push yourself in your professional life, your work collaboration, innovation, and creativity, and just how you keep that continuous learning going. And when you bring your personal life and your professional life together, your personal goals and your professional goals together, it lets you be more adaptable and more resilient. It allows you to embrace changes. Because if you're doing this in your professional life, it's going to affect your personal life, right?
So glad that you brought this up, Lynn, because this is what I was going to suggest as well. Because this growth mindset versus fixed mindset is not an accounting thing. This is a psychology thing. This is a therapy thing. So you can bring this to your marriage. You can bring this to your children. You can bring it to your whatever it is. So something like, if my husband doesn't like that I'm being sarcastic, well, I've always been that way. No, you can. That's a fixed mindset right there. That has nothing to do with bookkeeping. So, and like you said, Lynn, the more you practice this in your whole life, from waking up to sleeping, the more you just won't be able to help it spilling over into your professional life as well. It's going to help you in every area of your life. Even think about like cooking a new meal. Well, I've never cooked that before. I don't know if I even like broccoli. Just embrace it and try to fix something new,
And it does help change your mind. You start you seeing little changes in your personal life. We all get set in our ways. Listen, the older you get, the harder it is to change. I get that. But if I can start a business at age 50, scale it and sell it in 10 years, I should have started it at age 30. And if I looked back now, I would have done it earlier. I just didn't know that was a possibility. I didn't know that. And that's what I'm here to help people realize, that this is a great possibility to make a lot of money, scale and sell your business and retire early. But you have to be open to being coached. You have to be adaptable, embrace those challenges and all the things that we were talking about. Just being resilient. It just helps you be a more resilient person in your personal life and your professional life. So that's really great. The two factors in growth, we talked about growth, is you think about some of it's luck, right? You're in the right place at the right time. You're at a Chamber of Commerce meeting. You meet your clients all different ways, and you just happen to be in the beauty parlor or wherever you are when that opportunity presents itself, and being ready and willing to open up and look at that opportunity. Sometimes things just fall in your lap. And then there's strategic planning, that's going out to the Chamber of Commerce meetings, that's going out to the your local SBA, teaching a class, going, getting yourself out there and marketing. But sometimes I look back at my growth journey, and I grew fast. I didn't really mean to grow fast. People just kept calling me, and I just kept saying yes. I did not know how to say no, so I kept hiring people. I hired some awesome people, and we were able to grow the company pretty quick. But I wished I had grown. I wished I had put some more processes in place before it got kind of out of control. And I was working 60, 70-hour weeks. And when tax season hit, it was not uncommon for me to be at the, I was in an incubator, we called it the Business Development Center in Chattanooga, at 10 o'clock at night and 11 o'clock when the security guard came around to lock up the building. He would have to kick us out. And I thought, what am I doing, But you don't have to go through those things, because we're going to show you how to do that so that you don't have to be working till 10 o'clock at night through that growth.
I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
You had a W-2 job for a long time for a big corporation, and then left there. And then I want to talk about this idea of luck or chance. What were you doing when you got your first freelance bookkeeper client?
Well, I was actually in human resources, so that's the other thing you have to do is you have to pivot. I was doing human resources freelance, and when I was doing human resource, because that was my degree, and when I was doing that, the entrepreneurs would say, "Hey, can you help us with our books?" And I had an accounting degree, and I was like, "Yeah," and I just learned QuickBooks on my own, and then I started helping the PTA, nonprofits, different organizations that I was on and in school, and then just friends, and then I tried to start a human resources firm, and it turned into a bookkeeping firm. So that's another way of just being luck. People just kept coming to me, and I didn't know how to say no. And I was a really outgoing person, so it was really easy for me to say, like, people would say, "Oh, can you help me do this?" I'd be like, "Yeah." And I had no idea how to do it. I was like, and I would go try to run and figure it out, or Google it, or I would hire somebody to help me, figure it out. Or I had a really good CPA at the time that could kind of help me, work through it. But yeah, so that was
How
what
it was for me as
Mm-hmm.
well. I mean, as we've said, my bachelor's degree is in psychology. I wanted to do research in university, but I didn't find that, and I kept doing my bookkeeping work. Like we said earlier, worked for Lynn, didn't go over to the company that she sold to, and when I quit that job, I started working on a YouTube channel, like a lo-fi video YouTube channel, and during that time, that's when Intuit recruited me.
And you were
So I
open
got
to it.
lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got lucky to get that recruiter contacting me. And then while I was working for Intuit, I had somebody contact me and say, "Hey, I know you're not with Lynn anymore, but can you do my books?" And I said, yes. So making yourself open to opportunities is going to change your life.
Exactly. So if you want to be successful at something, you've got to figure out all the things that you need to do to get there. Does that sound easy? You've got to start at the beginning, figure out all the decisions, not all the decisions, but some of the decisions you need to make to help change your mindset. So everyone's going to be different on this, but figure out the things you need to do. One, we talked about getting rid of the excuses. Value your effort over the results. And like we had mentioned, I tried that once, it didn't work. Value the effort. I'm going to try again, or I'm going to find somebody to help me if I couldn't do it myself. So get rid of the excuses. Push yourself every day. Don't stop after each goal. Keep going. You're going to write your goals out. We can help you with that. And then you're going to, keep going after each goal. Don't get stuck. And then the other thing about changing your mindset is just the confidence. Begin taking action for just a positive mindset. So the confidence will come when you have all of this experience. It doesn't just come overnight. And the confidence will come and go and come and go. But if you're growing, your confidence has to grow with you, right? You can't just grow and then leave your confidence behind. And you don't want to get stuck in paralysis by analysis. In other words, you're just doing so much planning that you get stuck in the planning phase. I have worked with people like that can't get out of the spreadsheet because they are planning. And I said, you've got to rip the Band-Aid off. You got to stop writing things on that list and start doing them. So that
Life won't follow your spreadsheet, your plans. Life is unpredictable. So you have to pivot. Make a plan and then be prepared to change it. Yep.
Yes. So when we talked about the 3 things to talk about today, it was, are you ready to grow? And are you prepared? How are you going to prepare your mind to be an entrepreneur? And are you ready to be a lifelong learner? And so on this last little part, being a lifelong learner means learning from your mistakes. I can name at least 50 times I messed up. And sometimes I can't believe that I let myself make those mistakes, or what was I thinking when I did this journal entry? Like, that doesn't even make sense. But, bookkeeping is complicated, and sometimes our minds can get down in the weeds too much, and we forget to step back. So what I want you to do with your bookkeeping company is I want you to step back, and I want you to look at what you're doing from 10,000 feet. So just imagine yourself, you're way up there in the sky and you see all this stuff you're doing. It seems really tiny, doesn't it? It seems like it's, wow, I can see all of it right together in one little spot. And so when you start to look at your business like that, looking down at your business and all the things across there that you're doing, the people you're managing, the CPAs you're working with, the employees you're managing, the clients, all of that you're doing, that's what you need to visualize. How is that working, and how can I create processes to make that, to streamline that, to make it better? And how am I going to learn from all of these lessons? Just visualize how you're going to get there. Don't be so hard on yourself. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. Own it right away. You let the client know right away, you're right, I booked this wrong. I just did that this morning. They had a loan and I got the name wrong because they both had similar names. And I was like, you're absolutely right. I booked that loan wrong and I moved it over. You admit it right away. The client is going to really respect you for that. If you say, well, I didn't really know, and that's not my fault. That's not what they want to
Tell me.
You didn't tell me. You want to say, oh, you're absolutely right. I've changed it. Thank you. And then you just move on from that. We're going to make mistakes. You cannot be a bookkeeper and book thousands of transactions a month and not, put something somewhere or misspell something. So, but our goal here is to let you visualize becoming a better bookkeeper, having a growth mindset, and becoming a lifelong learner. So those are the topics that we talked about today, and we do want to have a part 2. And our part 2 for our growth mindset, Ashley will be joining me, and we're going to talk more about how can you manifest success. That sounds a little woo-woo, but we'll talk about that in bookkeeper terms. And your personal development toward that mindset shift, and how to increase your confidence when you start to do that mindset shift. That can be scary when you start to change your thoughts about just being a bookkeeper, working on somebody's books, then working on your company. Sometimes you feel like you're losing control of some of the client. I did, at least. I felt like, wait, I have to get in their file so I'll know what they're doing. You feel like you might be losing control, and that's something that we will talk about in our next podcast. I hope you've enjoyed talking with us today, and if you like what you hear today, we hope you'll click that subscribe button.